Hey guys, welcome to my channel where if you know, you can grow. So let's erase our doubt and let's pay attention because with Sean, it's always something to learn.
All right, guys. Number 2, pest problems are unpreventable. The best thing to do is to get ahead of it. Nobody wants to admit that they have sick plants. It's something that we are very embarrassed to disclose to people. I don't know why. It's as if we don't care for our plants and that's why they got sick, and that's not the case at all. There are things that you can buy to prevent your plant from infecting your other plants and from dying. You have to take on pests with everything you have. It's not something to just overlook and hope that they go away, because in reality they don't, and they only multiply. And what's worse than killing the plant that is already on is when it affects all the other plants that it was nearby, and it starts to trail in effect. And before you know it, it's completely got out of hand, and then you get completely overwhelmed. Pest prevention is very, very important. Now, I keep these two right here on hand at all time. They have been really, really good on getting rid of pests, from everything from mealybugs to thrips and Hoyas. They have this thing called, I think, aphids or whatever. I don't have those problems. But what I'm saying is these two right here, they are key, guys. They're paramount. I would definitely invest in it. It's also something called systemic houseplant control that is good as well. It's just this right here you can get for a bigger price. For a better price, and you can get more out of it. So it's really good for that. But again, if your collection is pretty small, just starting off, and when I say that, between 1 to 10 plants, that right there should be pretty good for you just to start off with. Because again, we want to keep you in budget, but I want to make sure that I give you something that can get you through what you need it to do. One way to prevent those pests from ever becoming a problem, though, is before you purchase a plant, take a look at the plant, look for things, bugs that could be on. I know I've said it before in a previous video, but definitely look under those leaves and look everywhere, on the stem, all bottom of the pot. If you could pick that pot up that's in the other pot, take it out, just take a look at it. Just inspect your plant for anything, signs of root rot or bugs, because that right there can make or break a decision on whether or not you need to buy that plant or not. If you do decide you want to buy that plant, that's fine. Just know that you're walking into, a little bit of a situation which can be taken care of with the proper stuff. Personally, I'm at a place in my journey that if I see a plant and it has like bugs and things like that, I leave it. It's not worth it to me anymore. But I was in a position which I would have bought it and tried to care for it, and ultimately it would have spread onto another plant or died. So that's just my personal view on that. Next is when you do, after you bring it home, you wipe the leaves down. I'm assuming that you feel safe with the plant. After all of that, I still want you to quarantine it for about 2 to 3 days. You want to quarantine it for about 2 to 3 days just to make sure it's nothing that you might have overlooked. After about that, you'll see how the plant is doing with the health. Is usually acclimated to your room pretty good, and you know pretty much how it's going to go. Health can still decline if the plant is still making an adjustment depending on what size of the plant, because you got to think about it. If that soil is coming from something like a nursery or maybe a big box that just water their plants, and it's probably going to be soaked for a while, because most of the potting mix that they use, Grower's Choice, is always something that does not have near enough aeration for you to be able to have at home for it to thrive. So really just kind of expect for the plant health to probably come around to see its true compatibility in your space, probably about like 2-3 weeks really. But for quarantine purposes, 2 to 3 days. Set it to the side. Make sure you still don't see any bugs, any pests. You feel comfortable. Bring it on in. As you start to grow on your journey, you're going to become a little bit more patient and more likely to allow it to quarantine even longer, just to be sure, because it's just not worth it at the end of the day, right? After you quarantine, bring it on in the room. Put it in the room somewhere that you know is going to get the proper care that it needs. If you put a plant where it doesn't have the proper light and you water the plant, you're going to get root rot, you're going to start getting those gnats, and the plant may become sick. And once that plant becomes sick, no telling what else, bugs or whatever else may pop up.